We getting to them, y'all. They hear us, y'all. It looks like the Indiana Fever had to go and hire a new shout-out specialist, a shout-out coordinator, because Stephanie White has failed to give Caitlin Clark the proper props and respect for her performances. And it looks like the Indiana Fever might have made some changes because they are sick and tired of getting blasted because of Stephanie White's post-game antics. And she tried it again today. We got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision.
The locker room went silent as the energy shifted in a way nobody expected. Stephanie White was rattling off stats and praising every player in sight, but one specific name was glaringly missing from the conversation. Then, out of nowhere, a mysterious figure popped up like the Undertaker. To do exactly what the head coach seemingly refused to do, he didn't just speak, he broke an unspoken rule that has been haunting the Indiana Fever all season long. It was the moment everyone realized the tension regarding Caitlin Clark's recognition was reaching a breaking point, and the organization was forced to make a move that stunned the fans.
They have won 4 in a row, and that's why I think it is over. It is dead for the Stephanie White style of play. Now, we know Stephanie White has continually dropped the ball and embarrassed Caitlin Clark in post-game situations, kind of refusing to shout her out and things like that. But it looks like they took that duty off of Stephanie White's hands, even though she botched the press conference damn near. We got to get into that. Let's go to the post-game locker room.
Hey! All right, y'all, good job. Really good job. Finally having some breathing room, shortening those stretches.
The situation has become such a spectacle that people are convinced the Indiana Fever had to go out and hire a literal shout-out specialist. This new coordinator seemed to appear from thin air just to ensure that the star player finally got the respect she earned on the court. For weeks, fans have watched Stephanie White's post-game antics with growing frustration, as she appeared to go out of her way to avoid giving Caitlin Clark her flowers. It's been described as an absolute clown show, especially considering the team has finally started winning games by playing a specific style of basketball that caters to their number one pick.
Undertaker. the screen. He popped up like the Undertaker. Who is this? Who is this? You mean to tell me y'all had to go hire a shout-out coordinator because Stephanie White refused to shout out Caitlin Clark over and over? This is insanity. Let's hear it, man. Let's hear. You heard Stephanie White going on and on. 19 free throws, this percentage, this, that. She was able to shout out Leah Boston for it, Kelsey Mitchell before, all this stuff. She never went to shout out Caitlin Clark. Now we got somebody that popped up from under the ring like the Undertaker.
We are witnessing a massive shift because the fans are getting through to them. The organization is clearly hearing the noise and the backlash from these press conferences. They are sick and tired of getting blasted on social media because of the perceived lack of respect being shown to the face of the franchise. Today it all came to a head when Stephanie tried to pull her usual routine, only to be interrupted by this new staff member. It looked like they found this guy on Indeed just to handle the PR disaster that occurs every time the head coach opens her mouth after a massive victory.
Hired a shout-out coordinator. Now, we got to get to Stephanie White in the postgame because in this postgame, they specifically ask about the offense and how did the offense get going the way it was. Now, we saw the ball was in Caitlin Clark's hands. The girl had 21 points and 14 assists. Did she shoot it great? No, but 14 assists shows you she was dictating. She was dictating tempo, getting the ball to people. Watch where Stephanie White tries to take this and make this about.
Steph, 113 is the most the Fever have ever scored in a non-overtime game. What did you see humming offensively, and especially at, the last couple games? It felt like you guys have taken some steps on that end of the floor.
During the post-game celebration, White was focused on the 69% assist rate and the fact that 4 players were in double figures. She was shouting out names left and right, mentioning Aya Wilson and Kelsey Mitchell with plenty of enthusiasm. She even praised the team for limiting the opponent to only 19 free throws. But, as she went down the list, the silence where Caitlin Clark's name should have been was deafening. It was almost like there was a physical barrier preventing her from acknowledging the person who was actually orchestrating the entire offense and leading them to a record-breaking performance.
Our pace is going to be better when we're better defensively.
She immediately went to the defense. Bro, they ask you about the offense. All you had to say was, yo, our pace has been better. Caitlin Clark was definitely pushing the ball 14 to 6. Bro, it's simple. It's simple. Come on, man. Like, this is why they had to go hire a shout-out specialist.
And what did you see humming offensively, and especially the last couple games? I felt like you guys have taken some steps on that end of the floor.
I think our pace is better, and our pace is going to be better when we're better defensively. When we limit, fouls and free throw opportunities. I think the way we're moving the ball, when we kick it ahead.
That is when the shout-out coordinator made his legendary entrance. The narrator described it as if he rose from under the ring like a wrestling legend ready to reclaim the narrative. Without missing a beat, this man stepped in to announce that CC had moved up to second in Fever history for assists in a single game. He delivered the news with more passion and enthusiasm than anyone else in the room. It was a clear sign that the front office knew they couldn't let another game pass without Clark getting her proper props, even if they had to hire a specialist to make sure it happened.
I just like when they ask about the offense, how do you not mention someone who just had 14 assists, 21 points, double-double? Like, they're going to have to say her name for you to say something, huh?
So we told her she got a PRP shot in her elbow, and she's playing well. How tough is she? And she's an athlete. We don't know what that means, but like seeing that up close.
Yeah, I mean, she's tough as nails. She's somebody who never complains, about it, and plays through pain, and she's you've seen her. She's tough as shit. So for her to be able to do.
I can feel the awkwardness radiating through the screen as this happened. The fact that an assistant or a coordinator had to step in suggests that the internal politics of the Indiana Fever are more complicated than we ever imagined. Why is it so difficult for a head coach to praise a player who just dropped 21 points and 14 assists? It's not just about the points, it's about the fact that she was dictating the entire tempo of the game. Despite the clear impact on the floor, it seems like there is a stubborn refusal to admit that Caitlin Clark ball is the reason this team is finally winning.
Of forcing the action in the ball screen and really creates 2-on-1 opportunities, and so then she does a good job. I thought
it probably tastes like vinegar in your mouth, you having to talk about Caitlin. You had the opportunity with the first question. They had to pin you in a corner to get you to talk about it. This probably tastes like vinegar to you.
Tonight, the way she got the ball out on time was really good, and it set her teammates up for great shots.
Yeah, over the past 4
Yeah, Caitlin Clark definitely set her teammates up for good shots. Now watch this.
games, you guys had that issue of building up that double-digit lead and losing it. But what was different tonight in building up that?
The stats from this game were absolutely historic. The Fever put up 113 points, which is a regulation record for the franchise. This wasn't a fluke. It was the result of 4 straight wins where the team finally conceded and decided to play the way their star player needs them to play. The Stephanie White style of play that characterized the early season struggle seems to be dead and buried. Yet, even with a record-breaking offensive explosion, the post-game press conference was a masterclass in deflection and avoidance that left reporters scratching their heads in disbelief.
To take for us to really do the things that we want to do. We can't have those lapses. We can't be careless with the basketball. We can't be careless on the defensive end of the floor, and I thought our team responded.
Well, look, it looks like the Indiana Fever organization, they're trying to make some adjustments to get the people off of their backs. It looks like they hired a shout-out specialist for the locker room. Stephanie White clearly has been unable to handle the job. They had to pin her in a corner at the press conference to get her to even mention Caitlin Clark's performance. But that comes to a surprise of no one. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you.
When the media finally got a chance to grill White, they went straight for the jugular. They asked her specifically about the offense and what she saw humming on that end of the floor over the last few games. It was a layup of a question. All she had to do was mention how the ball was in Clark's hands and how she was finding open teammates. Instead, White did something truly bizarre. she immediately pivoted to the defense. She started talking about limiting fouls and free throw opportunities, as if the 113 points they just scored were a secondary concern to their defensive rotations. The deflection didn't stop there. White began talking about paint touches and ball reversals in a very clinical, detached way. She mentioned how the pace is better when they get the ball side to side, but she still wouldn't say the name of the person actually pushing that pace. It felt like a calculated effort to credit the system rather than the individual talent that makes the system work. Fans are calling it a total embarrassment because it's so obvious what's happening. You can't hide a 14-assist performance behind coaching jargon about ball reversals and expect people not to notice. Then came the praise for other players, which felt like a pointed distraction. White went on and on about Sophie, praising her ability to space the floor and her leadership. She called her tough as nails and tough as stud for playing through pain. While those are great qualities, the contrast in her tone was impossible to ignore. When talking about Sophie, White was animated and full of superlatives. She was eager to highlight every little thing Sophie did to help the team win. But when the conversation inevitably shifted back to the player everyone actually came to see, the energy shifted back to ice. The reporters weren't going to let her off the hook that easily, though. They pinned her into a corner by bringing up Clark's overall floor game and her ability to affect the game positively despite a tough shooting night. When you have 14 assists and only 7 turnovers while scoring 21 points, you are the story. Finally, with nowhere left to run, White gave a response that felt like it tasted like vinegar in her mouth. She admitted that Clark did a good job of finding her teammates and that she has her burst back. It was the bare minimum of praise delivered with zero warmth. This reluctant admission only fueled the fire for those who believe there is a genuine rift between the coach and the star. Why does it feel like pulling teeth to get a compliment out of the person who should be Clark's biggest advocate? The narrative around the league is shifting, and the Indiana Fever are becoming the center of a drama that goes far beyond the box score. People are questioning if White is threatened by the gravity of Clark's fame, or if there is a fundamental disagreement on how the game should be played. Either way, the results on the court are speaking louder than the coach. The last 4 games have proven that when they play Caitlin Clark ball, they win. It's that simple. The team has won 4 in a row because they finally stopped fighting the reality of their roster. They are connected on both ends of the floor, and they are closing out games that they used to blow. During the timeouts, White says she's addressing the lapses and telling the team that every possession matters. But the fans know that the real change isn't just about valuing possessions. It's about who is holding the ball when those possessions start. The mystery of the shout-out specialist continues to be the talk of the town. Was he really a new hire specifically brought in to bridge the gap, or was he just a staff member who couldn't stand the silence anymore? Regardless of his official title, his intervention was a turning point. It showed that there are people within the organization who recognize the absurdity of the situation. They know that you can't have a generational talent breaking records and act like it's just another Tuesday. Someone had to step up and say the name that was seemingly banned. The tension in these press conferences is reaching legendary status. Every time a reporter asks about the offense and White talks about defense, the disconnect grows wider. It's almost impressive how she manages to avoid the obvious for so long. She talks about the team responding well and growing, but she rarely acknowledges the catalyst for that growth. It's a strange dynamic to watch a team succeed while the leadership seems to be struggling with the identity of that success. The fans are over it, and they are making their voices heard in every comments section available. What makes this even more fascinating is that the Fever are actually starting to look like a playoff contender. They are finding their rhythm, and the chemistry between the players is clearly improving. Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell are thriving in this high-paced environment, but all of that success flows through the point guard. If the head coach can't bring herself to enthusiastically support the engine of the team, how long can this winning streak actually last? Chemistry isn't just about what happens during the 4 quarters. It's about the culture created in the locker room. There is a theory that the organization is trying to manage the hype, but it's backfiring spectacularly. By trying to keep Clark's ego in check or focus on the team, they are actually creating a bigger distraction. The fans don't want a team-first narrative that ignores individual brilliance. They want to see the best player in the world recognized for being the best player in the room. The hiring of a specialist to handle shout-outs is a band-aid on a much deeper wound. It's a sign that the communication lines between the coaching staff and the front office are frayed. We have to look at the vinegar comment again because it perfectly encapsulates the entire season. When you've been forced to talk about something you clearly don't want to discuss, it shows in your body language and your tone. White's brief mentions of Clark's burst and finding teammates felt like a script she was forced to read. There was no joy in it, no pride in her players' development. It was a stark contrast to the way other coaches in the league talk about their stars. It's as if acknowledging Clark's greatness is a defeat for White's personal coaching philosophy. Despite all the drama, the players themselves seem to be tuning out the noise. They are focused on the wins and the historic numbers they are putting up. Scoring 113 points in regulation is no small feat, and it shows that the potential of this roster is sky high. If they can continue this momentum, they will be a dangerous out for anyone in the league, but the dark cloud of the band name controversy will continue to hang over them as long as these awkward post-game interactions continue. The fans aren't going to let this go until the respect is loud and clear. The Undertaker staff member might have just saved the locker room's reputation for one night by stepping in and mentioning the assist record. He provided a moment of much-needed validation for the fans and for Clark herself. It was a small gesture, but in the context of the season-long silence, it felt like a revolution. It's crazy to think that a professional sports team needs a shout-out coordinator, but that's the reality the Indiana Fever have created for themselves through their own handling of their superstar. As the season progresses, all eyes will be on the podium after every game. Will Stephanie White finally break the habit and lead with praise for her star, or will the organization have to keep sending in specialists to do the job for her? The fans are already one step ahead, tracking every word and every omission. They know the truth, and they know that the Indiana Fever's success is inextricably linked to the player whose name the coach seems so hesitant to say. The vision is clear, even if the coaching staff is still trying to look the other way. It's time for the Indiana Fever organization to realize that they can't hide from the spotlight. They have the most talked about player in the world, and trying to downplay her impact only makes them look out of touch. The winning streak is great, but the culture needs to match the performance on the court. Whether it's through shout-out coordinators or a genuine change of heart from the head coach, something has to give. The fans have spoken, the records have been broken, and the silence is no longer an option for anyone involved. At the end of the day, the game of basketball is about results, and the results are undeniable. Caitlin Clark is transforming the Indiana Fever 114 assist game at a time. You can try to talk about defense, you can talk about paint touches, and you can try to focus on everyone else, but the world knows who is leading the charge. This power struggle between the coach's narrative and the reality of the court is the biggest story in the league. The ban might be unofficial, but the resistance is real, and the fans are ready to see it end once and for all.